It's been almost 8 years since Granblue Fantasy Relink was announced. Originally a collaboration between Cygames and Platinum Games, this was supposed to be Cygames' first venture into the AAA gaming space. And it was one of my most anticipated games when it was announced. But as time has passed, my excitement has kind of dwindled a little bit. In February of 2019, it was announced that Platinum Games would no longer be a part of this game. Spending a good 7 to 8 years in development, possibly even longer, the odds are stacked dangerously against this game being good. So, how was the demo?
But damn!
I played this game on my PS4, which I haven't used in months, because buying a PS5 for a demo is not worth it. Of course, that means that some of the visual presentation is a little bit rough. From a bit of a choppy feeling frame rate to the motion blur that I can't disable. I wouldn't say it really affected my gameplay experience that much. For the most part, it feels like the frame rate stayed at a solid 30, but as someone who really doesn't like motion blur, it didn't help at all that it was motion blurry. Otherwise, I feel like it goes without saying that this game is beautiful. Granblue has always had a phenomenal art style that kind of makes the whole game pop when it's placed next to games of the same genre. The world is vibrant, the effects are gorgeous, and when you land moves like Gran's Super or Ultimate, I have trouble remembering the terminology, you can really see the art style shine in its kind of watercolorish anime art style. It's gorgeous, and it makes this game stand out in an ever-growing anime RPG space. Now as for the UI, it's pretty standard. I mean, it's pretty easy to read, doesn't take up too much space on the screen. I never felt like it was getting in the way during combat. I'd say it's really nothing groundbreaking, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's standard UI, kind of.
Here they come, Zenkichi! Get ready!
Ready how? Never mind. Guess I just gotta wing it.
Combat in this game is very flashy. As with all anime action RPGs, your moves have this special anime-style flair and extraness to it. My biggest worry going in was that attacks were gonna lack oomph. It's something I find pretty common in a lot of real-time action JRPGs. You have a lot of flashy moves, but the sound effects and the impacts of the hit just don't match up. Thankfully, the demo squashed those feelings of dread almost instantly. Combat is fast-paced with 4 party members taking on enemies at any given time. The attacks, while flashy, have enough energy and proper particle effects and sound effects to make big moves feel like they're big, and for small moves to feel quick and seamless. As for the combat itself, I feel like it's a little bit confusing at first. The game throws a lot of options at you. You have a basic attack, and I think it's either a heavy attack or a combo finisher. Depending on how many basic attacks you use, you may also activate a combo finisher with your heavy attack button. This in itself already creates some variation, but then you get access to your 4 skills you can use in battle. There are also aerial launchers, link attacks, and these big anime super moves that can be chained together to unleash a giant elemental blast. It's a lot to take in, but for the most part, the game flows together pretty seamlessly. You're going to be stringing together a lot of moves and figuring out how to do things pretty quickly. In action combat, you don't want the player to be pedaling around trying to think of their next move. For most players, knowing what you want to do next should come pretty easily, almost like it's second nature. So while all these options might seem daunting, while I was playing the game actively, I never felt like I really had to sit down and think about what I wanted to do next. I just kind of knew. Relink is very easy to pick up, and to my surprise, your own CPU companions are actually reliable. Almost too reliable, honestly. Usually you think of AI companions, and you think of Donald not healing you on time, or Mitsuru casting Marin Karin instead of literally anything else. But in this game, it feels like they're playing 8 paces ahead of me at all times. That could be a good or a bad thing depending on what you want. I think in the grand scope, especially if you intend to go questing alone, this is probably just better so you don't have to waste your consumables on AI companions who just die right after they get revived. But when I was doing missions, I felt like the AI companions were just way too good at dodging. Like, they almost never got hurt. There's also a myriad of characters to choose from, even in the demo. Each of these characters have their own playstyles and unique traits. If you want someone pretty basic, you have Gran. If you want magic, you have Io. If you want heavy-hitting, non-button mashy characters, there's this big guy. There's so many characters to choose from, and all of them do feel unique to play, which is a big feat for an action game.
Oh, come on! It's in English!
Honestly, the worst part of the demo was the story. And it's not because it's particularly bad, it's just because it feels like nothing really happens in the demo that you're given. You have goblins invading towns, and you spend most of the demo rescuing townsfolk. In the end, you wander into arena and defeat a giant goblin boss. But again, I don't feel like anything significant happened during that time period. It's just not a particularly good preview of the story. The star of the show, even in this part of the demo, is still the gameplay. You have the same combat from the missions, with a little bit of mildly open exploration. There's chests to unlock, and minigames and puzzles to try out. There are some wonky platforming segments that I'm pretty lukewarm on, but in short, this isn't going to be a massive open world sprawling with detail and life. The map seems to be divided into open zones instead. Exploration might open up a bit later, but it's mostly kinda linear for now. And putting that aside, I've also heard people compare this game to Monster Hunter. And on a scale of exactly like Monster Hunter to loose concepts like Monster Hunter, it definitely falls into the loose concept side. Things like breaking parts to stun giant monsters and just fighting these larger-than-life bosses are definitely Monster Hunter inspired, but as far as I played, the game never felt like I was playing a Monster Hunter game. You aren't tracking these enemies through vast landscapes. The missions in the demo pretty much all start with you in an enclosed arena and you fight the boss there. Or even you fight the waves of enemies there. It's definitely going to be a, if you like the combat, you'll play the missions kind of game. That's pretty much the meat of the gameplay loop. The story is serviceable, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be the main focus overall. And that might be disappointing for some who are hoping for some big story JRPG, but if you were hoping for that, I highly recommend you wait a week or so to see how this game reviews in terms of the story. Because I don't know how that's going to work out. There are also a lot of big, story JRPGs coming out around that time, so keep your eyes open.
Yes, we're here! Oh, wow!
I'm still incredibly interested and invested in Relink. The demo actually made me more excited than I was before. This is because I was concerned about the amount of time this game spent in development. While it's never a bad thing for a game to have more development time, especially if there are issues going on in the background in developing, many games that do get that more than their fair share of development time wind up being not that good. But hey, if this game turns out good, all the more better for it. So I want to know what you think of Granblue Fantasy Relink, and you can let me know down in the comments below. As always, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel for more things JRPG related. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Keep those peepers peeping! Ultimate March! Victory!
Back to the boy.